Pathmonk is the intelligent tool for website lead generation. With increasing online competition, over 98% of website visitors don't convert. The ability to successfully show your value proposition and support visitors in their buying journey separates you from the competition online. Pathmonk qualifies and converts leads on your website by figuring out where they are in the buying journey and influencing them in key decision moments with relevant micro experiences like case studies, intro videos, and much more. Stay relevant to your visitors and increase conversions by 50%. Add Pathmonk to your website in seconds and let the AI do all the work and get access to 50% more qualified leads while you keep doing marketing and sales as usual. Check us on pathmonk.com. Welcome to today's episode. Let's talk about today's guest. We have Alison Ball from Bookkeep, VP of Marketing and Communications with them. How are you doing today, Alison?
I'm excited to be here, Ernesto. What fun. I mean,
It's great.
Love marketing.
Definitely. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Marketing and how we could get better. That's where our listeners are tuning in. And well, let's give them why they're here, right? Let's talk about Bookkeep in your own words, Alison. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, so bookkeep.com is we sit between, we specialize in the e-commerce vertical and multi-channels. So if you sell across multi-channels, you're probably going to want to take a look at Bookkeep because accounting for all those sales and the deposits and the revenue and did it happen on the sale date or the ship date or did you get paid when you were supposed to get paid, reconciling all of that. It's very, very complicated and the manual processes can just take days out of your life. And you want to be using the time to grow your business or to advise if you're a CFO or an accountant or a controller. So we sit between about 60 different selling and payment platforms. Think, Shopify, Square, Etsy, eBay, PayPal, all the big ones, plus a growing number of point of sale solutions like Toast and Clover and Trees and, what have you. And then we sit between them and QuickBooks Online, Xero, or Zoho Books. And so we take all the data out of the selling and payment platforms, run it through our algorithms, and then create these beautiful accrual-based summary journal entries so that your accounting is up to date. And it's really a game changer because you're able to focus on the actual business rather than downloading the reports and running them through pivot tables and calculating all those entries. And it's just mind-boggling how long that takes. And every platform is different, so it's even more confusing. So we untangle the accounting, the revenue side of the accounting for e-commerce. Yeah. That took a long time to say, though. I wish I had a more succinct way of saying it.
No,
that's still fairly new on this job. Yeah.
Yep, that's great. But I have heard revenue recognition thrown out there for some ship dates and for some CPAs. What is that all about?
Well, that's a particular way of so basically most of the e-commerce aggregator apps or the automation apps, they're going to start with the payment date. They were built as a reconciliation tool. Like, could you reconcile your revenues from what PayPal said they were going to give you to what you actually got? So they start with a payment date. We actually start with the sale. So we don't start with the payment, we start with the sale. And those are different things. So not to get too deep into accounting, but for those out there that understand accounting, recognizing revenue based on the ship date in Shopify is something that larger companies, particularly those that are approaching due diligence or they want to be acquired or they have an initial public offering on the horizon, they need to show that they've recognized their revenue correctly, including the ability to defer revenue until the item is shipped. It's a very, very complicated accounting process to do manually, and it's virtually impossible to do it in Shopify without our tool. And I think this is an area where I'm going to be leaning very deeply this year into educating people about get your accounting right now, because what can happen, especially if you sell on Shopify, the tools that Shopify gives you are so good, and it's one or two clicks for people to purchase off of any social platform, etc. That if you have the right product mix and you have the right marketing support, your business can grow very, very, very quickly, very, very fast. And so acquisition is something that, the larger players are requiring these fast growing e-commerce companies and you need your accounting and your ducks in a row. The other thing is it gives a clear picture of where you're standing, where your business really, really stands. Like what revenue did you really earn that month?
That's great. I mean,
And for the
awesome.
rest of you out there where your eyes are glazing over, I apologize because it is complicated. So we serve accountants and bookkeepers and CFOs and controllers and CEOs of growing e-commerce businesses. Yeah.
Definitely, that's great. So then, as far as a vertical that you guys like to focus, do you guys focus on the e-commerce side, on the CPAs? Who would you say is your ideal ICP?
Yeah. So for channel, we have our leads pretty much come from various different places. We do have a partner channel, which is accountants and bookkeepers, so CPAs, and they typically specialize in e-commerce, and so we are a tool that they will use across their entire client base. The other way that people find out about us is just on the app stores. So if you go into the Shopify app store or the Square app store or QuickBooks Online or Xero or Zoho Books, you'll find us there. And so they tend to be a mix. They might be the CFO, the internal CFO. They might be a fractional CFO supporting multiple clients, or they might just be the internal person just wanting to not have to do the manual work anymore. So we range from, we have our starter product is only, $60 a month. And then we go out all the way up to like about $1,000 a month, depending on how many channels that you have and how many connections you have and how many locations and just kind of how, for want of a better word, how gnarly your accounting is, right?
Definitely. Okay. Perfect. Awesome there from you. And I am here on the website for our listeners. You could always check them out at bookkeep.com. What role does a website play for client acquisition?
Yeah. So right now, I would say it's basically people to learn. They can learn there. They can read case studies. They can understand what we do. These are all normal things that websites do. You can take a free trial there. You can book a demo. But we've got amazing content, and I think, but our challenge right now with the place we're in and the fact that I'm pretty much like the first marketing hire, like the real marketing hire, because we're at that level. We're Series A funded, 5-year-old company, profitable. So that's good. Nobody has to worry about that. But we can't outspend our competitors. So, and they're bigger than we are. So they've been in business longer. So I think our issue really is traffic. But we do have key advantages that once you see, you really can't unsee. And that's the fact that we do the accounting right. And so our website is pretty important, but we're definitely on a journey with our website. We're definitely on a journey.
Definitely. Okay. Awesome. Great.
But I think everybody is, right? I think everyone is on a journey with their website, right? Yeah.
And it's got to adapt, right? Every year, I think you got to take a look into it because everything changes. Last year there was AI changes, and this year we'll see what it has to start for us. So definitely.
Right. All of our content right now is human written. So I think we will be moving more into sort of some of the AI stuff. I certainly use ChatGPT probably 3 or 4 times a week. But we're not, our articles aren't AI generated. They're real humans at the moment. So
perfect. Yeah. All right. Awesome. Well, let's switch gears a little bit, Alison, and let's talk about you as a leader. You being the VP of Marketing and Communications there for Bookkeep. What are some key tasks you focus on your day-to-day work?
Well, I pretty much everything. So, I have gotten into a cadence with. I have an outside agency that helps me with creative, and so there are some cadences that in order to, so for example, on Friday, I'll be approving the following week's organic and paid social posts. Tuesdays, we have management meetings, reporting, that type of thing. But the rest of the time I'm meeting with customers. I'm looking at our journeys, like that our prospects and our customers go through in order to become, fully set up. So the first week that I was on the job, I'm literally still in my first 90 days. I'm just about to cross 90 days. I did nothing but interview customers. And so I spend a lot of time with our customers. And the reason is that understanding their pain points, what the difference is, like after using Bookkeep versus before, or some of the challenges that our customers are the ones that typically will help us uncover what if Shopify's changed something. Or so I think the deeper you can go. So I would say the bulk of my time I'm spending with customers, or I'm steering the team into the consistent messaging that's going to help us attract the right customers for us. The other thing I think I do, which is interesting, is, and this is just me, that would be, I think, fairly unique to me, is I do spend time with the accounting influencers quite a bit too, because my background, I worked for Intuit for 16 years building their influencer channels before we even had influencers. And it wasn't even when I started in 2005, there wasn't a word for influencer, right? Going back almost 20 years. We called it Power of the Peer. But I basically, now that I'm at Bookkeep, I want to make sure that they know what the product does. So I do spend quite a bit of time with influencers as well.
All right, perfect. I mean, that's you transferred for the past 4 or 5 years, right? So definitely they got a big key in today's world.
Yeah.
But let's jump into our next section, Alison, and which is our rapid fire question round. So are you ready for them?
Okay, I am. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. First off, what is the last book that you read?
Oh, okay. So 2 books. I always have 2 or 3 books going. For business, the last book I read was Forget the Funnel, by Georgiana Loudy and Claire, I think I'll probably butcher her name, Sue Ellen Trop. And that I found, that basically is the one that just says spend time with your customers and really understand. And then you pepper everything that you've learned from the customers, your best fit customers. And those are the ones that would scream the loudest if you took, like they'd be marching in the streets if you took the product away from them. That's who you want to, and you want to get, so learn from them. And then pleasure, I am right now reading Judd Apatow's book, Sick in the Head, which is a series of interviews with various different comedians. And it's a little bit funny, but it's mostly poignant. And it just shows how much of a powerhouse he is in the industry. So I'm enjoying that one very much. I'm only about halfway through.
All right, well, great read there for our listeners. Check it out. Now, what is one single thing that your company is focused on at the moment the most?
That the company is, or me as a marketer?
The company.
The company. We're focusing on building out more tools for the really advanced CFOs and CPAs who need to do the type of revenue recognition and accounting that they can't do in other apps because they weren't architected that way. So getting much deeper. And again, following our customers. Our customers are asking for certain things and we're saying, yep, we can do it. And then we do it.
Definitely. Okay, great. Now, if there would be no boundaries in technology, what would be that one thing that you want to have fixed for your role as a marketer?
I want more traffic and I don't want to have to pay for it. How about that?
Okay, yeah.
How about that? There's so many things. I mean, there's so many places to get metrics and there's great tools out there. But I think, especially just starting in a new role, what happens is LinkedIn, all of a sudden you're shark bait, right? And all these apps and all these tools and everybody comes at you. So, I think it's just tricky to figure out what the right tools are to use. So I speak with a lot of marketers and executives at my level and find out what's working for them. But yeah, if I have magic wand, I want more traffic and I don't have to pay for their nose to get it. And if anyone's got a solution for me, let me know.
Definitely. I think that's every marketer's dream, right?
I know, right? Yeah. Me and everybody else. Yeah.
All right. Now, if there's one repetitive task that you could automate, what would that be?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm still pretty new in this role, so I'm not burned out on anything yet. Like as far as, and every week for me feels different and new, and we're uncovering new insights and we're creating new content and things. Gosh, I guess I've got to ask you, Ernesto, what do people usually answer for that question?
I would say, what I hear a lot is emails, right? I think everybody at one point gets a huge bandwidth of emails, and how to, answer something that could
Sure.
answer them. That would be an amazing tool, right?
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good one. And there are tools. There are tools that you can use to employ to do that. And I know some people at my level, they'll have a virtual assistant where they have somebody triage their inbox. I don't find right now that my email is a problem. But I do know that when I was at Intuit, I would be getting between 400 and 600 emails a day, and no human can, you know, yeah. So I told the people that really needed me, they had to put the word Allison in the header. And then I had a special folder. If you knew the secret code, you could get through. Right. But
That's yeah.
I don't know. That's a great one. Email, I think is a problem, and I think we overuse it. And I think also, I think it's still necessary. It's not going away. Right.
Yep, it's still going to be there. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. All right. Well, Allison, I love asking this question, especially someone like you who has a lot of experience already. But what is one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were to restart your journey as a marketer today?
I love this question so much. It's kind of like writing a letter to yourself, writing a letter to your 21-year-old self. I would say spend time with customers. Spend as much time as possible with your customers and really, really go deep on their lives and the problem that your product solves. If you get very nitty gritty, the deeper the more you deeply understand their lives and how your product fits in, the better your marketing will be. And I just know a lot of marketers who don't spend any time at all with their customers. And I think, how can you actually market your product if you don't really understand? You really have to walk in their shoes. And the other thing I would say, and this is something I learned from Scott Cook working at Intuit, is fall deeply in love with the problem, not the solution.
Definitely.
So the more you understand. So I'm actually pretty lucky because I'm marketing an accounting product, and before it came to Intuit all those years ago, I was an accountant. So I did kind of walk in the shoes. Now, it was back in the Stone Ages when all these automations and things weren't, I mean, it's early 2000s, right? So I'm going back 20 years, but I know, right? It's like
Yes.
people listening to this call were in grade school, or maybe they weren't even born. But I think having that deep understanding of their pains, their aspirations, how they feel in their heart, I think is just really, 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 I mean, you just can't read your way into understanding your customer. You have to talk to them.
I think that's some great advice there, right? You could have a perfect thing, but if it's not perfect for your customer, then you got to start listening, right? So definitely some great advice.
And the messaging will come from that, right? Like when you really can use their words and you can really understand that's why influencer marketing works, right? That's why, using for a B2B, which we are, using experts that are in the industry. That's why that works, that power of the peer. So that more that people can get into their, as I said, I still spend 2 to 3 hours a week talking with customers. In my first week, I only spoke to customers. I just said, fill my calendar. And that's all I did.
Definitely. I would agree with that. Well, Allison, thanks a lot for being on the show with us today. I do want to give you the last word. If someone forgets everything about the interview today, what is that one thing they should remember about your company?
Oh, that we radically simplify your e-commerce accounting. We untangle it. So if you are in e-commerce or you sell over multiple channels, you really need to look at Bookkeep, because we can take a huge headache. Oh, a massive headache off here. Yeah, a huge, huge, huge headache. Yeah. Yeah. And what would you do with your time, right? Like, how could you better spend your time? So.
Exactly, right? Guys, for our listeners, you could always check them out at bookkeep.com. Untangle your accounting with smart automation. Allison, thank you so much for being on with us today. To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and looking forward to our next episode at Pathmonk Presents. Thanks a lot, Allison.
Thank you, Ernesto. I really appreciate it.